Good afternoon YouTube and welcome back to my channel. I'm very excited for today's video because I'm going to be sharing with you my dream fleet of mountain bikes. I'm not going to waste any more time, let's dive straight in and take a look. First bike that we're going to be taking a look at is my e-bike, which I like to refer to as my everything bike because it does literally everything. I can ride downhill on it, I ride dirt jumps, trials, go for trail or enduro rides. It ticks all the boxes. Let's take a closer look at what components I'm running. The frame is a high bike all mountain 2.0 in this awesome red colour. It's a size medium and it's made of aluminium. It has 150 millimeters of travel, which I think is a perfect size because it's really versatile and it enables me to ride all of the different disciplines. The motor is a 250 watt Yamaha PWX and that is powered by a 500 watt hour battery. Combined they create 80 Newton meters of torque, which is plenty of power for technical hill climbs and for when the bike is acting as an uplift. The front fork is an e-bike specific Fox 36 with 160 millimeters of travel, and on the rear we have 150 millimeter DPX2. This is the perfect suspension combo for this bike because it's very adjustable. It has air, rebound and your high speed and low speed compression, so it means that where I ride a lot of disciplines, I can change and adapt the bike very quickly and very easily to suit what I'm riding. For example, trials I like it stiffer, but downhill I like it softer. With a few clicks, the bike can be set up for its task. The wheel set I'm running is the Halo Vortex with the red stickers. These are customizable to match your bike when you order the wheels. They're super lightweight, but also super strong, which is important to me. On the rear we have the SuperDrive hub, 120 points of engagement, so there's no chance of that slipping, which is really important on the e-bike because the torque levels and power is increased, so any chance of it slipping, we've completely eliminated it. The Halo wheels are fitted with Schwalbe eddy current tyres in a 2.6 width, and they're an e-bike specific tyre, which basically means they're slightly stronger because obviously the bike is heavier, so they're more resistant to hard landings and punctures. They're fitted with muck off tubeless sealant, so the chances of getting a puncture on this bad boy is very slim. The crank set is from Highbike and they're called the Crank. They're basically fitted with this flywheel system, which means you can spin them backwards and it won't move your cassette or your chain. The reason for that on an e-bike is because when you stop pedaling, it takes a moment for the motor to stop. If it didn't flywheel, then it would spin the cranks at your feet or it would try and spin your legs. So they have that on them, so you basically don't get the pedals ripped off your feet. Gusset S2 flat pedals with nice spiky pins, which feel really good. 38.2 front sprocket to a 10-speed rear sprocket with a range of 40 to 11. Gusset S2 handlebars with a 35mm clamp for increased strength. They're 800mm wide for increased control and they have a 20mm rise. The stem is a Gusset S2 33mm reach and they are fitted with Gusset S2 lock-on grips, so there's no twisting and they're nice and soft. We're running Shimano SLX brakes, 203mm rotor on the front with a 180 on the rear. Single piston, so slightly underpowered for the heavier e-bike, but they do the job. Finally, a Fox dropper transfer post, which looks nice and shiny with the Kashima coating, and that is fitted with the Gusset S2 railed saddle. So there we have it. That is a closer look at my e-bike. As in terms of setup, I generally run this bike quite stiff when we're talking about suspension and tyres. The reason for that is because what I generally tend to ride, that suits it better. However, like I mentioned earlier, it's very easily adjustable to soften up. I can just, on the suspension, adjust the high speed and low speed compression with a few clicks, and then in the tyres, just let a bit of pressure out. Then it's perfect for shredding downhill or whatever you might need to soften the bike up for. Finally, this bike weighs 23 kilograms, but like I said, it does absolutely everything for me and it's definitely the bike that I use the most. I don't know what one we're going to look at next, so let's spin the clip and find out. The next bike that we're going to be looking at is the Dirt Jumper, and this bike is good for one thing and one thing only. Somebody stop me, I'm out of control. I gave him my body, This bike is very simple in comparison to the e-bike, however, it's just as exciting. The frame is a high bike DRT 11 Team Edition. It's in this lovely green colour. Aluminium, has a very short back end with a low bottom bracket and a steep head angle. The geometry makes the bike very nimble and easy to spin, which is exactly what you want when you're doing tricks. The reason it's an 11 is because in high bikes range they go up to a 10, so my e-bike is a 2.0, 10 is the highest. This is an 11 because it's a prototype. They very kindly made it just for sponsored riders, so all of you out there that keep asking where you can buy one, unfortunately you can't. The fork is a Fox 36 with 100mm of travel. I run these extremely hard so that all of your movements are very direct and go into the ground, but they are there just to absorb any really heavy impacts. The wheel set of the Halo Chaos in a 26-inch. I've run these wheels forever. They're super lightweight, very strong. I've never had any problems. They have the red graphics to match the bike once again. And on the rear we have the Super Drive hub, which has 120 points of engagement. Out of all of my bikes, this bike is the only one that I'm running with inner tubes. Tyres are the Schwalbe tabletop in a 2.35 width, super fast rolling tread pattern. I run about 80 PSI in these, so they're really hard. And what's important with a dirt jump tyre is to have a tyre that has a very strong sidewall, because if you land sideways or very heavy, then quite often the weaker tyres fold off the rim. That's not the case with these bad boys. I'm using SRAM Exo carbon fibre crank arms, carbon fibre to keep the weight down, 165mm long crank arms so that there's plenty of clearance between the front wheel when you're doing tail whips and bar spins. Fitted once again with the S2 flat pedals, which are nice and grippy and they just feel really nice on your feet. Up front we have a 28 tooth sprocket, so nice and small, so there's plenty of clearance when you're riding skate parks and dropping into those quarter pipes. On the rear we have an 11 tooth sprocket. The handlebars on this bike are the Gusset S2 and a 35mm clamp once again, same as the e-bike. However, this time they have a 38mm rise, which I just prefer on this style bike. They run at 720mm wide, so there's plenty of clearance when you're doing bar spins. They are fitted to the S2 33mm stem, and the grips I'm running are the non-flanged sleeper grip, which are nice and soft, and without the flanges it just means that you can spin the bars and not get your hands caught. Only one brake on this bike, which is a Shimano XT dual piston, so really nice and powerful, and that has an extra long brake hose so that I can do bar spins and tail whips without it getting caught up. Finally onto the saddle, which is a Gusset S2 DJ saddle, nice and thick, which I really like, and they've really thought about this seat because the post is screwed in from the bottom, so there's no rails and there's no pivotal bolt in the top here, which looks really clean. Also on the side you have these grippers here for when you're doing bar spins or suicide no-handers. So there we have it. That is a close look at my dirt jump bike. The setup of this bike is very unique. It's made to be as small as possible with the low seat. It only has one brake and only one gear, so it's very much made just for doing stunts on. I run the suspension very stiff and the tyres are rock solid. I love this bike. It's definitely one of my favourite out of the fleet, and it weighs only 10 kilograms, so it's super lightweight. Let's take a look at the next bike. Next up is the downhill bike, and this is an absolute dream build. I'd go as far to say that it's my favourite bike. This frame is a high bike downhill frame in a size medium. It has a very wide rear end so you can fit an extra wide tyre and increase the grip levels. The geometry is very slack for going high speed, hitting big jumps and riding real steep technical sections. I run a size medium because I ride it for free ride, so I want to still be able to throw it around. If I had the longer one, it makes it more difficult to maneuver it on jumps and things. Up front we have the Fox 40 triple clamp fork, 203mm of travel in the factory orange paint job. These bad boys feel as amazing as they look. On the rear we have a DHX2, 8 inches of travel with an SLS orange spring, 450 pounds, so a little bit stiffer than what's recommended for the medium frame. Once again, I have that because I want to do more jumps on it than ride techie downhill. The wheels on this bike are once again from Halo, however, they're secret, they're not actually out yet, so we're not going to look at them too much. They are 27.5 inch, super lightweight, super strong, and same as the other bikes, the Super Drive rear hub, all those engagements, yeah, super dialed and feel really stable. Tyres are the Schwalbe Magic Marys in an ultra soft compound, 2.6 up front, 2.4 on the rear, so slightly thicker up front for increased front end grip. I run these actually quite hard for a downhill bike because if they're too soft, I don't like the feeling of it rolling underneath you when you're hitting jumps. Tubeless setup on this bike with the valves and sealant from Halo, once again just reducing the chances of getting any flat tyres. SRAM X01 carbon fibre crank arms, 170mm long with flat pedals, the Gusset S2 once again. And to complete this setup we have a chain device which keeps the chain on at the top and then a bash guard at the bottom. Up front we have a SRAM Eagle 36 tooth sprocket, and on the rear we also have a SRAM Eagle 7-speed cassette with a gearing range of 24 to 10. Derailleur is an X01 short cage derailleur with this awesome red paint on it to fit in with the colour scheme, and then the chain is in this stealth black to also blend in. Gusset S2 handlebars, 35mm clamp, 800mm wide and a 20mm rise. They are mounted to the Gusset S2 direct mount stem, which has two reach options, 45 and 50. I have it at 50 just to make the bike a little longer and just offer that bit more control at high speed. S2 lock-on grips, same as the e-bike, and the lock-on option because when you're shredding in the rain, you don't want your grips to be twisting. And then finally up this end of the bike, Shimano Saint brakes, 203mm rotors front and rear, all the stopping power you're ever going to need. These brakes are unbelievable. Final component on this bike, which is a nice little touch to finish, is the carbon fibre railed S2 seat from Gusset with the Gusset seat post and the Gusset seat clamp. Unfortunately, as much as this is my dream bike, I actually haven't had much chance to ride it because I built it when I was recovering from a shoulder surgery. By the time I'd got back round to riding, we then went into lockdown, so I haven't been able to put this thing properly through its paces yet. However, like I mentioned throughout this section of the video, I am going to be running it stiffer than you normally would a downhill bike, and the reason for that is because I'm not going to race World Cup. I'm most likely not going to race any downhill. I'm a free rider and I like to do jumps and tricks on this sort of thing, so having it slightly stiffer actually makes quite a big difference and makes it easier to do what I want to do on it. We have one more bike to look through, which is actually brand new. I only built it last week, so let's go and take a look. Last but not least is my Enduro bike. No electricity on this one, and it's actually so new that I haven't even got any clips of myself riding it yet. So we're going to dive straight in and take a look at what components I'm running. The frame is a Ghost FR AMR 8.5 in this awesome red paint job. It's a size medium and it's made from aluminium. The reason that I'm riding a Ghost frame when I'm sponsored by Highbike is because Highbike are just focusing on e-bikes now. They're not making any non-electric bikes. Ghost are a sister company, so they've very kindly sent a non-e-bike out to us riders. Up front we're using the Fox 36 Performance Elite. They still feel amazing, still got exactly the same adjustments, however they just don't have the Kashima coated stanchions. What's the difference between these and the Kashima coating then? Basically, the Kashima coating is longer lasting. On the rear, we have a 165mm coil shock from Cane Creek, which is going to be switched out eventually for a Fox one. And I'm not sure whether to go air or coil, so leave it in the comments below because it might help me make my mind up. Halo Vortex wheels, exactly the same as the e-bike with the red graphics. Fitted to those, we have the Schwalbe Hands Damp tyres in a 2.35 width and a soft compound. I really like this tyre for the time of year coming up because the tread pattern's perfect. It's really fast rolling, but has enough knobbles on there to provide a lot of grip. They run tubeless with tubeless sealant from Muc-Off and these insanely cool looking tubeless valves in a petrol effect, which are also from Muc-Off. The crankset is the Truitive Descendant in 170mm Aluminium, so no carbon fibre on this bike unfortunately, and they are fitted with flat pedals, the Gusset S2 once again. I don't actually run any clips on any of my bikes. The crankset is completed with a chain guide from E13 at the top and then a bash ring at the bottom, so I don't cause any damage to the sprocket or the chain. 34 tooth SRAM Eagle front sprocket. Then on the rear we have the 12 speed, which ranges from 50 down to 10, so a huge range of gears to select from at the back, and that is all governed by the SRAM XO derailleur. Same as all the bikes, Gusset S2 handlebars with that 35mm clamp. These ones are cut down to 760mm and they have a 20mm rise. Once again, we have the S2 stem, 33mm reach, keeping all the bikes very similar. S2 lock-on grips with the super soft compound and these awesome looking petrol collars which match the petrol valves from Muck Off. The cockpit of this bike is actually really dialed. It feels really stable and just really nice, especially with these super soft compound grips. The anchors on this bike are from Formula, which I've never run before, and they're the Cura 4 piston brakes with a 203mm rotor, and the stopping power is unbelievable. I'd go as far to say that these are actually the best brakes out of all of the bikes which I have. Finally, on this bike we have the Gusset S2 AM saddle, which is slightly smaller than the other ones. I just find it a little bit more comfortable for longer distance trail rides, and that is fitted to a dropper post, which I really like because it has an awesome range. When it's all the way down, it's perfect for jumping, but that for me is the perfect height for pedaling up hills. Setup wise at the moment, this bike is feeling very stiff, similar to the e-bike, but a bit like the e-bike, I intend on using it for all different disciplines. However, it is very easily and very quickly adjustable. It is quite a bit lighter than the e-bike, weighing only 14 kilograms. I'm so excited to use this bike a little bit more and film some videos on it, so keep an eye out for some sick content coming from this beast. Just before I end this video, I wanted to say you might have noticed throughout the video that quite a lot of the components are very similar on all of the different bikes, and there is a reason for that, which is I chop and change a lot. I ride a lot of different disciplines. You know, one day I might be riding a jump bike in the morning, e-bike in the afternoon, and by having things like the handlebars very similar, the reach on the stem is the same on all the bikes except the downhill, pedals and grips all feeling the same, it means I can just transition way easier and it doesn't take me very long at all to get used to the bike. Not only that, they're components that I trust and I put a lot of faith into and I believe, which gives me confidence when I'm riding. This is the dream fleet at the moment, however, keep your eyes peeled because it is likely to change very soon. The 2020 range of high bikes are out and I'm just waiting for mine. Unfortunately, they have been delayed because of the COVID-19 virus. Massive thank you to all my sponsors that have made this dream fleet of bikes possible. I feel very lucky, and I feel very lucky to be able to share it with you guys, and hopefully it's inspired you on some components and how to set your bikes up. That is the end of the video. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, leave some comments below. Let me know what your favourite bike is out of the four, and I will see you guys in the next video.